Hey traders, Raggy here. I'm pumped. We had a great Dow morning trade, and I'm sipping my first bulletproof coffee that I've had in a really long time right now. So, also awesome. And we're going to take a look at the Dow here because I keep getting a lot of questions about this Dow setup and how I trail it. And I thought, you know what? Let me just make this a video for everybody so you guys can get an idea of how I understand what the risk environment is telling me. For the Forex part of my life, that gives me insight into the yen. For the futures trading part of my life, obviously I'm trading the Dow, but it gives me insight into what's happening with individual stocks. That's the equities trading part of my life, but gives me insight into the risk environment. So what could be happening with crude, what could be happening with notes and bonds, and so there's so much. It's like a pebble, the ripples just go in so many directions once I understand what the risk environment is. And so that's why the Dow day trade is so important. And I'm day trading the Dow right now because the daily is just hideous looking. And I don't want to buy pullbacks. I would just assume get flat at the end of the day. So we have that glorious 25% day trading margin for those of you that like that. And then I'm not opposed to taking these trades into the Asian session. So I'm not always just getting flat into the close. Let's dissect today's Dow and it will give you a better idea of what I do. So by about 9:55, I'll get some nudges from my Dow day trading crew in the morning chat. And I have a trial link in this email if you haven't already checked it out. Actually, you can go to simplerforex.com/SO, as in SO. simplerforex.com/SO. So what I want to do here with this Dow is by about 9:55, 9:57, like I said, I'll get a nudge from some of the traders in the room and they'll tell me that, hey, what are the levels? So there's two vertical lines I'll drop here, 2 to 9:30. I want to see what the pre-market highs and lows were. And those are the dotted lines. And I want to see what the clearing range high and low is. So I'm going to end up going from 9:30 to 10, which would be right here, 10 o'clock. Green means go. So from 9 to 10, look at the high and low. Draw a horizontal line across the clearing range high, the clearing range low. So literally by 10 o'clock, the end of the 9:59 candle, the end of the 9:55 candle, if you're looking at this in a 1 or 5 minute, the lines and levels are the same. So what I have by then is pre-market highs and lows and clearing range highs and lows. 10 o'clock means I can start playing the breakout breakdown. And we broke to the upside on the data. So this was actually a data-related breakout. And we know when we have a 10 o'clock hot zone that there's going to be a little bit more volatility. And we got to be ready. And this was a break to the upside on the 49.5% ISM manufacturing PMI release. And the market broke to the upside, hit the pre-market high, and sunk back down below the break-even, which would have been the 16,622. So we got long at 16,624. We took off 16,639, got stopped out at 16,622.21, and then we did it again. So we can get in on that clearing range level between 10 and 10:30. So let me drop another vertical line here for you. And I'm telling you, I'm walking you through not just what I did, but what a lot of traders in the chat room did. My regular Dow traders, this is exactly what they did because we chatted about it throughout the morning. So 10:30, the difference between 10 o'clock breakout breakdown and then 10:30 we start to acknowledge, hey, what is the market trend? Are we starting to see still the 2 to 4 of the morning persist, or are we starting to see a little bit of a change? And I'd say by 10:30, we probably still didn't know, because let's be fair, this would have been the view at 10:30. That's the view at 10:30. A little bit of an up angle, but not enough to say, hey, this is an uptrend. No way, right? So what did get us a little bit more interested about the possibility of an uptrend is the 1025 candle burst through not just the clearing range high, but the pre-market high as well. So we had this big green candle saying, hey, I know you don't have an uptrend yet, but I'm busting through everything. And that's something to keep an eye on. And then following that, it started turning into a trending market. And we had opportunities not only to stay in the long position that we took profit on here, right? I know that doesn't seem like much profit, but what if we ended up range bound for the whole day? What if? Take some profit off the table, pay yourself, move to a break even, and then you've seen what happened. It just persisted. Some of you bought a little bit more here, and most of you just took this on whatever was left after you took profit at this level, right? So whatever it was for most of you, it's a half of the position, and we're just still riding it. And I'm coming to you now just after 1 o'clock because at 1:30, and it looks like this should not change. At 1:30, we end up looking at the underlying market trend, and we can say to ourselves, all right, well, if we get a pullback to our zone between the 13 and 21 EMAs, we can go ahead and just do a trend following buy. Just be really careful. My favorite time to check these trades are in the morning. If I could just call it a day and just follow, what I can do now is just trail it. I don't have to get in again. I can just trail what I have left. So how do I do that? So we go on over to the auto chartist. Oh, by the way, this is the new members forum. Pretty stoked about that. And we just got it live last night. I think I just, kind of flipped the switch last night about 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Some of you were still in the chat room with me. We were looking at the RBA together and flicked the switch on this, and it is up and running. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this evolves into just the awesome expression of the tribe and the questions and the contribution. Can't wait to see how that goes. All right, so trailing the Dow. So I head on over to the auto chartist and I look at the price movement ranges on the Dow. And I could do a couple things. I could look at the expected price movement range, and that would be this right here. So I could get an idea of what the range is for the Dow for the next 15 minutes to the next 1,440 minutes. So that's a day, by the way. For those of you who don't know, 1,440 minutes in a single day. And then I could look, what my favorite way to do it is just to go to the average of the price movement range and think about, all right, well, do I want to operate maybe within a trailing stop of, say, 60 to maybe 80 pips? That may be too rich for some of you. Some of you might say, I don't want to risk giving back that much unrealized profit until I hit a trailing stop. In which case, I would say kind of let your world be guided then by some of these levels, or the near-term levels of support. So there are ways to get historically relevant looks at the kind of volatility you could see in this market, depending upon the time of day, and in this case, with the expected price movement range, the current volatility. So that could be one way you could trail a stop. The other side of the wave could be another way you could trail the stop. So basically, the trend follow would remain valid until we break basically 16,730. And every 5 minutes, that 34 EMA on the low, this red line will adjust a little bit. You can just continue to monitor that because, you're talking about an entry from down at 16,623. Show me your stop and I'll show you your P&L. Basically with the bottom line of the wave, you're locking in here that 16,624 actually entry to 16,728, 727, whatever you ultimately use just below this bottom line of the wave. And you've locked that in. So all this is now profit. So these are the things I want you to think about when you're managing these types of trades. And today, obviously, the follow through is tremendous. We're up almost 300 points. So we have the luxury of, what can I give back is a pretty big number. So I can be a little bit more flexible with the unrealized profit. And by the way, as we go into 16.8, some of you might say, well, Raghi, what about being a little bit more proactive by taking something off the table? Absolutely. 16,695, 16,795, step out about 5 points ahead of each one of these major psych levels. Step out in front of 16.7, step out in front of 16.8. And yes, you're scaling out and you may have less of your position, but you want to keep a small part of that position, perhaps with a trailing stop, while you're a little bit more proactive about stepping out while you can, not when you have to, right? Okay, so that's a quick look at the Dow and the risk on we're definitely seeing here and how I trade this. And again, the ramifications extend far beyond my being a Dow day trader, although a lot of the members at Simpler Forex love it. But it gives us insight into crude. It gives us insight into the yen. It gives us insight into even the COMDOLs. It gives us insight into the bonds and notes. So this one market, if you understand, has such large ramifications, such large impact on other parts of our daily trading life. I think it's tremendous to be able to at least analyze it and to trade it. And why not trade it and profit from it? And we're still taking a day trader's approach to the Dow because of this chop. Yes, I know it's bounced, but when you look at the wave and the grab candles, this is still very much representative of, yes, a bullish move, but certainly still chop. I don't trust this market. So therefore, when you don't trust, you retreat to shorter term time frames. You keep your involvement more nimble and more flexible. And certainly you don't commit to longer term follow through. And I don't mind taking this day trading stance because I've been able to benefit from sell-offs and from rallies every day. Fresh set of eyes. I'll see you in the next update.